Sorry. Okay. Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the August 20th meeting of the Patton Township Board of Supervisors. And the first order of business will be to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Those of you who are able, please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we'll go to announcements, but first I would like to say that I am actually the vice chair of the board, and Sutan Magruder could not make it tonight, so. So, are there any other announcements from anyone? Okay. And I'm actually going to, I apologize, I'm going to have to wear my hat. My eyes have a hard time with the ceiling lights. Next, are there any additions to the posted agenda? Does anybody want to add anything to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to public comments. So this is a time when members of the public can speak on any topic that is important to them pertaining to the township but is not already listed in our agenda. So seeing no comments online or in the room, we will next go to public presentations and public hearings, and we'll start out with a proclamation honoring the road superintendent, Mr. Glenn Coakley, on his upcoming retirement. So we have a proclamation.
It's on your table in the blue folder.
And I was going to have Pam Robb
It's in the blue folder.
Or do you have it up? Oh,
It's in the blue folder, Betsy.
Did you change it?
oh, is it in, oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's also online, but it's the same that's printed.
It's the same that you have.
You
Yep.
can read, right?
Okay, I got it.
You found it?
This one.
Okay, we'll keep this nice and clean.
Patton Township Board of Supervisors proclamation, A Place for All, honoring Glenn Coakley on his retirement from Patton Township. Whereas Glenn Coakley started his career at Patton Township in 1983, serving as a member of the road crew, and whereas Mr. Coakley was promoted to road superintendent in 2003, and whereas during his time as road superintendent, Mr. Coakley worked hard to train our road crew and implement procedures to increase efficiency and provide high-quality service, and whereas Mr. Coakley always put the needs of our residents first and aim to provide the best service possible to Patton Township community. And whereas Mr. Coakley became an expert on traffic signals and other public work issues and generously lent his time and knowledge to the other municipalities in the center region when they needed assistance. And whereas Mr. Coakley recently announced his retirement after 42 years of dedicated service to our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Patton Township Board of Supervisors do hereby thank Mr. Coakley for his 42 years of dedicated service to the residents of Patton Township and to the greater Center Region community, and wishes a happy and healthy retirement. Proclaimed this 20th day of August, Patton Township Board of Supervisors will sign the proclamation, and we would like to thank you.
Do I need to do anything official? We just have to.
Yeah,
We
we
need
have
to
to
approve the
approve it.
proclamation. I don't know
Okay.
if Gwen wants to say anything.
So a motion, or?
A motion would be
Okay,
great.
I'd like to have a
So
motion to approve.
move the motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That was easy. That was a great way to start the evening.
And let's get a picture with Glenn.
All right.
Absolutely. One over here.
Come on up. And then you guys have to sign that proclamation.
Without the screen background.
Perfect.
Amy, do you want in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the employment opportunity.
Enjoy yourself.
It's been a career and it's been an adventure.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
We're going to sign it.
And then you can take a picture. And we'll. Where's the other? Oh. There you go. That's okay. I like that, an honor and an adventure.
I'm sorry?
Oh, and you know what?
Oh, yeah, we didn't give you the plaque. Oh, my gosh, we're falling down on the job. Glenn, we have another present for you.
Oh, bam.
Come on back up.
Good eyes.
Another picture.
Yeah, this is the real booty.
Yeah, this is the real.
Come on, Amy.
Here, so we're.
I have to say, my wife has been a great moral support for me. We've been through a lot.
Come on down. You know, we not often get the support. Yeah. Amy, come on, we need to do a full
One more.
picture with this lovely wife. That's what it is.
Tyler's gonna get paid overtime.
Yeah, yeah. Come on.
You're gonna have to pay your bonus.
Thank you all.
Did you get the proclamation? Yes. And it's got the plaque. Did you get the proclamation?
I don't know.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
I had to sign it, and there's two signatures
I
missing,
mean,
but.
two signatures.
She could have it, right, with that two
Yeah,
signature
you
ring?
can have it.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't want to have you walk all the way back there.
That's right, you exercise.
I love it. You work on a farm. You get so much exercise. I love it. Thank you for that. This is an exciting section of the meeting because we now get to meet our new road superintendent, Mr. Eric Confer. He was promoted to road superintendent. He's going to be shadowing Glenn Coakley for another couple of weeks, getting everything down. So Mr. Confer has been a member of the township road crew since 2015 and served as the road crew leader. So now he's stepping up to be the real leader, the big leader. Do we want?
I don't know, Eric, if you want to come up and say hi to everybody,
Yes.
so everybody knows who you are.
So the public.
Yes,
So the
yes,
public
we're putting you on the spot.
There's millions of people.
Our YouTube channel, stand by behind the microphone. Our YouTube channel is popping right now.
All right. Fantastic. I'm Eric. I'm going to serve in the role as road superintendent when Glenn leaves. He's definitely left a pretty good legacy to follow. I'd like to say they're big shoes to fill, but we're about the same height, so I think we wear the same shoes, but it's definitely going to be a challenge living up to the standard he's set, and I'm looking forward to it.
Great.
And Eric's
Welcome.
been with us for about 10 years.
Yes.
Great.
10 years the end of the month.
Yes.
So,
Congratulations.
Congratulations. That's really good. And we have yet another introduction. So we have a new member of our staff, also another member of our staff, I should say, We have a new Assistant Township Manager for Public Works, and that is Mr. Ryan Scanlon. He comes to us from Ferguson Township. Our gain is their loss, I'm assuming. But welcome, we're delighted to have you. You want to come up and say a few words? Awesome.
And Ryan's been with the township for 3 days.
Yes, and he keeps coming back, so that's a good sign.
He's coming back to
He,
this town?
he keeps coming back every day, so that's a good sign.
Okay.
This is my third day, so thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. Really excited about it. A new role for me. I was the Assistant Township Engineer at Ferguson. More of a leadership role here. We're going to miss Glenn. I've worked with Glenn quite a bit, about 7, 8 years ago, with Ferguson and Patton, and we worked together a lot. I'm going to miss him. He is going to leave a huge legacy here at Patton. A lot of good memories working with him, and then also with just the information that he has that he's taken with him. So you will be missed here, Glenn. I'm so happy for you and a little jealous as well. I have a lot longer than 12 days now, 11 days now, I guess, until you retire. But congrats to you. So don't think about Patton too much. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Betsy, we have someone online who wants to make a comment.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes.
Matthew
Matt, you know what, I don't have,
Beisel.
yeah. go
Yep,
ahead.
you got it. I'm sorry, in the beginning, the sound wasn't coming through Zoom, and I don't know if you already got past the public comment section, so I wanted to see if that was the case or not, because I see going down the agenda, it looks like we are past that section.
We can go back to.
It's actually fine, certainly
Yes.
fine with me. Just
Okay.
checking to make sure it was fine with protocol. Whoops.
Okay.
Looks like we.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I can put my video off. I'm in a hotel room right now in Chicago, so. But I do have a comment if I may.
Absolutely. What's on your mind? We'd love to hear it.
Okay. So I want to bring up about the short-term rentals in Patton Township. And it's an issue that I know has been looked at recently, and I know that there's some data gathering going on and some analysis. For myself personally, we've had 3 different short-term rentals show up within just a few houses of us. So we are surrounded by short-term rentals right now in Park Forest. One of them did have some problems. The cops had to be called. There was disturbances. There were kids outside, teenagers that were mowing around cars and going through property, walking through property. I shouldn't say going through property. So it has been a burden, and it's only been about half a year that this has happened. So looking around, I did notice that College Township and Ferguson Township have rules for short-term rentals. In particular, they have rules where if a short-term rental is to be had, the resident needs to live in the short-term rental as their primary residence for 6 or 8 months before they can rent out that property. Also, Harris has done actually a really nice analysis, and it looks like they are going to implement the same kind of rule, and I believe it's 8 months. At least that's where it is trending right now. So it's a concern because every time a house comes up for sale, we are concerned that basically residents will be outbid for those houses by folks that just want to do short-term rentals. So I have talked to Amy, and I am aware of some of the initiatives that have taken place, and that is appreciated. But I wanted to see if there was a list of short-term rentals in the area, and I wanted to see what the general plan was for moving forward here with this agenda item, trying to address it.
Matthew, I'm going to have Amy, our General Manager, Amy Farkas, answer your question in a second. I wanted to ask you really quickly, what street do you live on?
We live on Stone Ridge.
Okay, gotcha.
And it is the house on Stone. One of the houses on Stone Ledge was the problem house, you could say.
So I'm going to have Ms. Farkas answer, not just to you, but also for
Sure.
our viewing
So-
audience.
Right now, so what we're requiring right now, and this is for the first year, we're kind of trying to step into regulations and see kind of what issues that we're having. So anyone who rents for more than a day is required to get a rental housing permit through the code office and go through the safety inspection. In addition to that, on the rental housing permit, we have a checkbox for if this is a short-term or a long-term rental, so we can gauge how many short-term rentals we have. To date, we have 18 people who have registered and received their permit and claim they have a short-term rental. We know there are way more than 18 in the township, and we're trying to reach out, and we're talking with College and Ferguson and some of the other municipalities about sharing some software to find some of these short-term rentals that they all use. During this year time period, we do have the nuisance points in play, which is what the borough has. So basically, if you're, and Matthew did reach out to me with the problem on Stone Ledge, and that was actually addressed by the property owner, but we're encouraging residents who are having issues with a short-term rental to call the township office during office hours or the police department, because we're gonna take points against these properties if they're having issues with noise, they're having issues with people, the issues that he talked about with the teenagers and things, if they're not mowing the grass, if they're not maintaining the property. And if you get 5 points, you have to come and put an action plan in place with the township so that we know how you're going to address the situation. If you get 10 points, we can revoke your rental housing permit for a period of a year. So we are doing this as a way to gather data on the issues that we're having. Additionally, the state of Pennsylvania just completed 2 studies, the Center for Rural PA and the Pennsylvania State Senate did a study on short-term rentals. They're big business in the state of Pennsylvania. In, I believe, the State College area, they're an $88 million business. The state is leaving open the door that municipalities could ban them out of residential zoning districts and do some other things, regulate them as transient housing, basically hotels. So we wanted to kind of wait and gather more details on what the state was going to do, because there was some concern that the state might come in and preempt our ability to do anything, and then our regulations would be meaningless. So I understand the concern. Stone Ledge has been pretty hard hit in terms of the number of short-term rentals. There's a few out there that have been problematic in the past. Everyone that gets a permit is required to have a local point of contact so that we can contact that person to address concerns as they're coming up. We're really hoping that this year period will report back to the board in June of 2026 will give us a good idea of the issues that we're seeing. We are finding, anecdotally, Nicole's doing a great job of finding these. We're finding people that are renting out RVs in their driveway in Park Forest. We're finding people that are renting out, a basement that maybe isn't furnished. And so we're trying to address some of these safety concerns that we're also seeing. But I appreciate that. And in particular, Park Forest, Gaynor Drive, I think in Tofttrees a little bit as well, have been very hard hit with short-term rentals. And we have seen anecdotally too, a few of these LLCs are now changing hands to people. They're not just LLCs, which maybe gives me hope that maybe we're getting actual permanent residents that are moving into the township instead of just more of these second homes. But it is a huge problem. I was talking with our tax person today, and she said, I was shocked at the number of people that are coming in to pay taxes that don't live here, that these are second homes. Yep. That's the nature of having a draw in your community, right? Penn State University is a big draw with the alumni. But so we are committed to, spending this year to gather some data and then also to work on this. But again, if you live next to a short-term rental, you really need to contact us if there are issues, because we don't know what's happening necessarily everywhere in the township, and we want to address this. We don't want this to be a problem in Park Forest or any of our neighborhoods.
Board members.
I just wanted to say that there is a concern with the year time frame that you've provided, just because if Harris moves forward with banning short-term rentals for anyone who is not living there for at least 8 months, that means that Harris, Ferguson, and College Township have that restriction, and naturally out of town folks coming in looking for short-term rentals are going to go to Patton, because Patton is the closest for football. That's that is, although it's more than football, it's Penn State University in general. But so the concern is with that year time frame, we will see a greater acceleration of these houses being purchased for short-term rentals. And by the time that anything is done, it will already be, saturated. It concerns us to the point that we are seriously, my wife and I are seriously thinking about looking to move to another township. We don't want to. We love Park Forest. We love, where we live, but it is a real concern, and it has been a burden on the residents. And I know, talking to neighbors, many feel the same way. Now, I just wanted to mention as well that the reason I bring up the 6 or 8 month requirement is I understand a lot of folks rent out their own house for football weekend, and I certainly don't want to take the rental revenue away from those people who are living here, who are accountable because they're right there. They're your neighbors, and you can go and talk to them if there are any issues. But when you have folks from Texas or Florida or wherever they may be, it's much harder to have accountability, and so that is the concern that we have.
Before I let Ms. Robb speak, Matthew, I want to commend you on your knowledge of regulations in townships around the area, and I hope that you're spreading that knowledge to neighbors and friends. Not many people are attuned to what goes on at the municipal level. And then I wanted to ask our manager about the website. I should have thought to check, but is this front and central somewhere on the website about rental, short-term rental?
It was, yeah, we do have the regulations out. We've been doing pushes through social media as well. We'll continue to do that. We're gonna do another push to let residents know specifically what to do if you're having issues with a short-term rental. We share a lot of the concerns at a staff level that the residents can share in these developments. And so I just think we wanna take the time to do some data gathering, because the thing we heard, and it's unfortunate because we heard from one side, and that's what's happening in Harris Township. Harris Township right now is bombarded with all the people that were visiting us back in the beginning of the year, and now they're threatening legal action. There was an article in the paper over the weekend over their proposed regulations. But this has become this cottage industry in town, and it's not just here, it's a lot of places in the state. And people are looking at my livelihood, but then we're looking at balancing the neighborhood. And people want to move in, they want to know their neighbors, they want to live next to people that live there full time. So we said at the time when we did the 1 year time frame, this was kind of our compromise. Let's take a look at it and get better data, because we didn't have it at the time. We simply didn't have it. So that's kind of why we wanted to wait until June. That gives us a time frame. And again, we're only at 18 permits right now, so we know there's a lot more than 18. I will say College Township, anecdotally, maybe has 130 permits. They don't have a ton of permits out there as well. There are plenty of these that are flying under the radar because they're not using Airbnb or VRBO. They're renting word of mouth, or they're using their social media, and it's not being caught. So we need to see what's going on until we can decide. And I'll also say that if the board were to move forward with, banning out of residential zoning districts, we can talk with the solicitor and look at, is there grandfathering that comes into play? Is it a non-conforming use? Does it end if the property changes hand? I know those are discussions Bellefonte had. And we do have a short-term rental housing task force in the Center County that meets with the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau. And these are all things that we have been discussing as well.
I was wondering about the grandfathering, so that so again, Matthew, thank you for your comments and for doing your diligence for both you and your wife and for neighbors potentially. And Ms. Robb, did you have something to say?
And I'm sorry. One last question. Amy, can I just contact you if we have questions about where these short-term rentals are located?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can send you, because it's a public record, I can send you the report that Nicole is putting together, our zoning officer. I'm asking her to update that, and then I'm including not the list of the rentals per se, but information for the board about issues that we're seeing with the short-term rentals in my manager's report. But I can send you, I have your email, I can send you that log so you can see where they are.
Great, thank you very much.
Yep.
And Ms. Robb, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, Amy, on the information, are we doing the non-emergency police number in case there's a problem? So we want to get that, make sure it's the non-emergency number to be calling. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I just logged in and I have my audio off,
Yes.
Yes.
Should be on.
but it's actually not going. Can you hear me? I hear an echo, it's not going off for some, I apologize. Let's see, is that?
I don't hear it.
You-
Okay, I can hear.
Well, you turned it on, or you have it off now, yeah.
It just has a pause when you hit the button for some reason.
I have it off?
Yeah, you're good now.
You're good.
Okay, but I can hear it. Yeah,
There is an echo?
and the button on my computer, oh, there we go. It wasn't responding earlier now. Maybe I wasn't responding earlier. Great, thank you. Anything more to discuss on the issue that Matthew brought up? And before we continue, I do want to note, I was talking to someone in the audience, Heidi Cruzy, who's actually running for supervisor, so she'll hopefully be on this board next year. She was having difficulty hearing. Can you hear all right?
I've been okay in previous ones.
Okay. So I just realized that my microphone could have been closer, so I'll just point that out to everybody, and please let us know if you can't hear, okay? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go on to, I believe we're up, oops, sorry about that. So we just finished, we had our presentations.
To public
So we're in
safety.
public
And public
safety.
safety, right, okay, so want to make sure we went through all of that. So that takes us to our own Chief Jolly. Take it away.
All right, thank you very much. A copy of my July report was included in your materials. You'll see our officers conducted 226 traffic stops. We wrote 28 citations, 3 parking tickets, and handled 13 criminal arrests. Really, the bike officers took advantage of the wonderful July weather we had and rode 169 miles, did 228 business checks. They handled 6 incidents and 2 vacation home checks. Under department notes, there was a 21-year-old female who was arrested for access device fraud. She had used a stolen credit card to make over $5,000 worth of purchases at several stores in our area. 22-year-old male and 23-year-old female were arrested for criminal mischief. The pair had damaged some property that was offered for sale in one of our stores as they attempted to change the price tag on the item, obviously making the price lower than what the offered price was. 38-year-old male was arrested for false alarms to agencies of public safety, disorderly conduct, and public drunkenness. He was heavily intoxicated and was creating a disturbance inside one of our hotels. He then proceeded to pull the fire alarm within the building. 4 arrests were made for retail theft and 1 for driving under the influence. Our officers served 6 warrants of the 11 that they attempted, and we conducted 16 vacation home checks. Under use of force, we did use force during 2 incidents in the month of July. The first one, our officers were assisting Ferguson Township Police Department at one of their businesses for an intoxicated and disorderly male who was in the parking lot. It was reported that the male had placed another patron in a chokehold prior to our officers' arrival. When our officers got there, they did encounter the male in the parking lot, and he was uncooperative and also heavily intoxicated. Our officers attempted to verbally de-escalate the male, but they did not have success with that. As Ferguson attempted to put the male under arrest, he began to resist, and our officers had to assist by securing the male's arms and legs. Ferguson did criminally charge the male. There were no injuries to the officers, and the male was transported to the hospital for further treatment. Our officers, in a separate incident, were dispatched to a hotel in the township. Just mentioned this, the intoxicated disorderly male who had pulled the fire alarm. Made contact with him. He was uncooperative and was growing increasingly agitated. Again, tried some de-escalation techniques, unsuccessful. He refused to provide his identification to officers. So as the officers were attempting to take him into custody, he began to resist. They had to control the male's arms while they struggled to get him handcuffed. Eventually, he was successfully handcuffed, and there were no injuries reported to anybody involved, and he was charged and arraigned appropriately. Under community relations, Officer Tuskovich participated in the 4th Fest Parade. Officer Snyder and Graff did a canine demonstration for Girls Week at Camp Cadet, which we have a photo of that coming up here in just one moment. And then Officer Finocchio conducted some training for hotel staff at from our hotels in the township, just to raise awareness to them about issues possibly like human trafficking, different frauds and scams and things like that that they can look for, and when it's appropriate to call our officers to come assist them. Our officers attended tactical response team training. Officer Friend attended a vehicle inspection regulations training. Officer Bardzell attended training on motorcycle collision investigations. Officer Kaufman attended training on advanced law enforcement rapid response training, or ALERT, and received his instructor's certificate. And then Officer Snyder and Graff completed their 2 required days of training. And in addition to the training, they conducted a sniff for one of our cases where Graff helped locate a envelope containing $670 worth of U.S. currency associated with a drug case, and then also participated in a drug sweep of the Cove Forge Rehabilitation Center as part of his training. I attended the Center Region Emergency Services meeting, Big Brothers Big Sisters Advisory Committee meeting, and I also assisted Bellefonte Police Department with some interviews for officers. A couple notes that we have here. First was for Officer Suhu and Officer Friend, who in July, on July 2nd, responded to a residence in Patton Township, a report of an unresponsive male. Their officers arrived quickly and determined that the patient was in advanced stages of an opioid overdose. They did administer 3 doses of naloxone to the patient. They utilized a bag valve mask to provide oxygen and to provide rescue breathing to the patient. They continued to assist when EMS arrived, and the patient eventually did regain consciousness, and he was transported to the hospital for more advanced care. So it was again due to the quick actions of Officer Suhu and Officer Friend that a patient who was suffering from a life-threatening opioid overdose was revived to the point that he could be transported to the hospital for further care. And absolutely their actions reflect the highest credit on themselves and also on the Patton Township Police Department. So they both did receive a performance report for that. And there is Graff and Officer Snyder at Girls Week at Camp Cadet. Real quickly, I just wanted to talk about Camp Cadet. Patton Township really took over a leadership role with Camp Cadet. Sergeant Schaefer is now the president of the board for Camp Cadet for Boys and Girls Week, and Detective Salade, Katie Salade, is the vice president. This year was their first year, so obviously there was some things that needed to be worked out, but they had a very successful 2 weeks. The Girls Week had 46 participants, and the Boys Week had 48. So it's just a really fantastic opportunity for us to expose kids to law enforcement, to first responders, to show them what we do. We're really hoping to spark an interest. Often when we hire, people will say, I attended Camp Cadet, and really that's what sparked my interest in pursuing a career in law enforcement. So that's what we're going for. Not everybody does, and we understand that, but we know that they have a great week out there, are exposed to all kinds of different things involved in law enforcement and police, fire, EMS, all the first responders. So very proud of those 2 officers specifically for taking on a leadership role with Camp Cadet, and making sure that we ensure that we have that opportunity to the young folks in Center County for many years to come. So just wanted to highlight that quickly. Lastly, we have our record list of calls for service. You'll see in July we handled 381 calls, down from the 430 we handled in June. 51 of those were EMS assists and 41 were traffic related. And then lastly, before I conclude, just wanted to remind everybody, next Tuesday, the 26th, school starts. So just looking out for school buses, watching your speeds in the school zones, obeying our crossing guards. Obviously in this Park Forest area, specifically Grays Woods, there's going to be a lot more foot traffic, some kids crossing the, so just be sure to please watch your speeds, have some patience. It takes a little bit of time the first few weeks for everybody to get in a groove of where to go and where to drop off and where to pick up and things like that. So have patience, take your time, but be very, very cognizant that there's going to be some kids crossing the road in the school zones. So that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Any comments from members of the board? No. Thanks as always.
And I believe that the next item, the certified police officer eligibility pool.
Yep.
Do you take that or?
Yep, I can take it, sure.
Okay.
So in June, we went through our testing process. We had a total of 42 applicants apply to take the written exam. We had, out of that 42, pool of 42 applicants, 10 met the qualifications by passing both the written and oral exams with a score of 80% or above. We are looking to actually hire pretty much right out of the gate here. First individual will be appointed to fill a vacancy which was created with a resignation in January of this year. And then each conditional appointment will be made by recommendation from myself and also from the township manager. And will be based on the needs of the department. And there was a copy of the final certified eligibility pool in your materials this evening with the list of 10 names of those individuals.
We did get that.
Who did pass, yeah. So just kind of a little bit of a background, so you understand kind of what happens after the conditional offer and an official offer. When an applicant accepts the conditional offer of employment, they must then pass a rigorous background and also a physical fitness exam. And then they also must pass a physical and psychological exam as well. And those are required by MOPEC, the commission that oversees police. And then also the ADA requires that those medical examinations are required only after a bona fide offer of employment has been made. So for this item on the agenda, we're just looking for the board to make a motion and to accept the 2025 final certified eligibility pool, which will be in effect until July 1st of 2027 for the police department.
I'll call for a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. So before we vote, I have a couple of questions. Does anybody else have any questions first? I was curious about the hiring process when you get down to a specific job being opened. And you mentioned that you and Amy Farkas would be the two doing the interviewing, but I thought that there were 3 or 4 people that actually ended up doing the interviews.
So that's, we've already done the interview process. That's just a recommendation for who we want to hire from the pool of people who have made it through.
So that full interview panel, that was, all 10 people on the list went through that full, and that included, I think Terry Watson's on that.
Yes. Myself, Amy, Detective Salade, Katie Salade, and then
Katie
also
Salade, I knew
Sergeant
there was
Shevchenko.
one of the female police officers. I think that's
Correct.
great. So a
Yes,
lot of
yeah.
diversity on the
Yes, there is. Yep.
interview panel. That's great. And super. And then within that 10, have those 10 been ranked? And then would you, at this point, and then you would...
Yeah, so there's no numbering on the list because we now use a eligibility pool.
Okay.
The first thing that we look at would be military service.
Okay.
So military
I see.
preference would be added for anybody who is a veteran.
Yeah.
And then after that, again, based on the needs of the department, if an individual maybe has Act 120, they may be a little bit more appealing as a candidate.
Interesting,
Things
okay.
like that. So those are discussions that I usually have with the manager and let her know kind of where I'm thinking and where I think the department should lead with offering conditional offer of employment to an individual.
Okay, so it's a great system. It leaves you with flexibility, but it gives you a ready pool, and so it's a very efficient
Correct, yes.
process.
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you so much. Okay, any questions from other board members? Then with that, I'll call for the question. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? You've got your 10.
All right, thank you.
That's great, thank you, yeah. Let's see. We're on to Public Works, where the open space property recreation plan, are we going to see a slideshow with that? That was included in this.
Yeah, so Paige, our summer intern, is joining us via Zoom because she is back home in Pittsburgh for this week.
I should have noticed that. Hi,
So
Paige.
Paige is going to present her final report, and as she gets ready to start, I just want to say how grateful I am to Paige. She was such a wonderful addition to us this summer, and I've told her this a couple of times now. I hope she finds a career path into local government because she really understands very well what we do and what we try to do around here. So with that, I'll turn it over to Paige.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Amy. First of all, can everyone hear me okay?
We can now.
Yes.
Awesome. So good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Paige Myers, and I am about to begin my last year at Penn State to achieve my Master's of Public Policy degree in May of 2026. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present this plan and allowing me to join you via Zoom today. Over the last several months as your summer intern, I have had the privilege of exploring our township's 3 open space properties, learning their history and ecology, and working with staff, partners, and residents to imagine what these could be for the community in the years ahead. The purpose of this plan is to enhance public access to these properties while preserving what makes them so special, their ecological value, their history, and the sense of peace that they bring to anyone who visits. So the 3 properties that we are focusing on are the Marjorie D. Seward property, the Haw Family Preserve, and the Grays Woods Preserve. Together, they total nearly 700 acres of forests, wetlands, and historic landscapes, each with unique opportunities for recreation, education, and conservation. So why this plan matters: these properties are, of course, not just extra land owned by the township, they're community assets. They're places where kids can go on their first hike, where bird watchers can see rare species, where Penn State students can conduct field research, and where residents can simply take a quiet walk and enjoy the nature. But these spaces also face some challenges. First of all, low awareness. Many residents don't even know that these properties exist. Access limitations in some cases, parking is minimal right now, signage is lacking, or trails aren't clearly marked, and environmental pressures, invasive species, sensitive habitats, and other risks require careful management. So if we want to keep these properties healthy and relevant to the community, we need a coordinated long-term strategy, and that is what this plan provides. So as I mentioned the last time I spoke to you all, I've built this plan around 5 overarching goals. The first one being providing safe, enjoyable, inclusive, and low-impact recreation. That meaning expanding and improving trail networks, clearly marking them with some loops designated to be ADA compliant, and offering spaces for nature observation and reflection. Goal number 2 is to preserve ecological integrity and natural habitats, installing leave no trace signage and educational materials on site and online, and preventing overuse in sensitive areas through smart trail design and public education. The third goal is fostering a sense of ownership and connection, holding events that bring the community into these spaces like scavenger hunts, birdwatching walks, and history tours, launching a youth trail naming contest with local schools, and using public recognition, like featuring volunteer groups on township media to encourage ongoing stewardship. The fourth goal is positioning these properties as platforms for place-based learning. So installing interpretive signage or QR code tours on natural history and local heritage, and integrating visits into Penn State courses in forestry, wildlife, history, etc. And the fifth goal is delivering these improvements in a phased and transparent manner, so aligning upgrades like trail signage, benches, and accessibility enhancements with a clear timeline, and maintaining a centralized online hub with maps, brochures, event details, and updates. So moving on to some property highlights. For the Seward property, it is around 40 acres along a steep ridgeline with views of the Bald Eagle Valley. It is really ideal for scenic overlooks, nature walks, and photography. Some potential improvements would be a small gravel parking area that is already in the works, new trail loops, and overlook seating. And an environmental note it is within foraging range of endangered bat species, so habitat care is essential. For the Haw Family Preserve, it is around 450 acres, about half farmland, half forests and wetlands. It is truly an ecological gem. There are 34 wetlands, rare plants, marbled salamanders, and endangered butterflies. Current uses include hiking, hunting, environmental research, and the community gardens. And potential improvements are environmental education programs, invasive species management, and more guided tours of wetland habitats. Next, for Grays Woods Preserve, this is around 150 acres, part of the Scotia Barrens Biological Diversity Area, which is both rich in ecology and history. This property is accessible via 2 main entry points with an existing trail system, sensitive habitats of like tiger beetles, butterflies, and the threatened eastern spadefoot toad. It is historically tied to the 19th century iron mining visited by Andrew Carnegie, and potential improvements like historical markers, QR code tours, and more accessible trail loops. So next is the community engagement plan section of the report. This section really outlines the community engagement being at the heart of this plan. We want residents to not just visit these spaces, but feel invested in them. So some highlights of this section are events and activities, including guided birdwatching walks, ice cream trails, grand opening at the Seward property honoring Marjorie D. Seward's love of ice cream, autumn leaf scavenger hunts, history tours, nature journaling workshops, mindfulness and yoga sessions on scenic trails, pollinator walks, and even night hikes and star observation. This section highlights partnerships with the State College Bird Club, local scout troops, and Penn State student organizations. There are several contacts of potential partnerships in the appendix and resources to find others. Youth involvement, including the trail naming contest, scout badge opportunities, classroom field trips, and educational QR code tours. And equity and inclusion, accessible trail and event design where possible, outreach to underserved groups, and the possibility for multilingual signage. Next, moving on to the phased implementation section of this report. So my plan rolls this out in 4 phases. Phase 1 encompasses what I've done this summer, being conducting a public survey gauging the knowledge that residents have on these properties. Responses received to date can be found in the appendix. Early partner outreach to Penn State faculty, drafting programs like Adopt a Trail and the trail naming contest, and outlining some planning of potential community events. Phase 2 encompasses pilot programs, having the first community event, some trial QR code tours, and early signage upgrades. Phase 3 is really full program launching, so permanent QR code signage, trail kiosks, officially launching the Adopt a Trail program and the youth trail naming contest. And for phase 4, meaning long-term infrastructure, major trail improvements, scenic overlook, seating, and expanding accessibility. So in conclusion, Patton Township's open space properties are much more than preserved land. They're living classrooms, peaceful escapes, and places where we can build stronger community connections. This plan gives us a roadmap for enhancing access, protecting resources, and engaging residents step by step in a way that is sustainable and inclusive. This is not a rigid prescription by any means. Final decisions will reflect evolving priorities, available resources, and the expertise of township staff and partners. My role has been to gather ideas, outline possibilities, and give you a starting point for action. So I welcome your thoughts, questions, and feedback, and a final thank you for this opportunity. You have all been incredible role models, and I will cherish the memories that I made this summer forever. And I know that was very quick, but I believe the final document will be put on the township website soon, if not already. And my contact information is on there, so if you decide to take the time to look through it yourself and have any questions, please feel free to contact me.
Wow. That's all I have to say. That was amazing. We all have seen it in bits and pieces up to this point, but to see it all pulled together is very impressive. Any comments specifically from board members? Pam, Ms. Rob?
Paige, you did an outstanding job. This report is educational to us when we're making decisions, but the outline and the dedication that you took to put this report together is outstanding. Thank you. That's all I can say to you. Thank you so much.
It's very thorough. That is a lot to do in one summer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel tired.
Yeah. I really feel that it's a blueprint. And I like the way that you've laid it out in the 4 stages, and I recognize Amy's fingerprints on that sort of, let's put this into action, so let's look at how realistic this is, and part of that is setting out a timeline with very concrete goals. I must say, as an environmentalist and as an educator, I looked at it, and I really tried to find a question to ask. Like, have you thought about this, or have you thought about that? And I couldn't find anything that was significantly, that would significantly add to what you've done, so kudos to you. I would like to mention that we already have one community activity planned in the community gardens, and we have somebody here in the audience who could actually tell us a little bit about that plan. And so I think it would be interesting for Paige to hear that, as some of her work is actually being put in action.
So Heidi, you have to go to the microphone.
If you could go to the micro.
I can't remember the name of it. And maybe someone else can chime in. There's the name of the organization, it's put on by Penn State, and there's initiatives for volunteers, for the students to have opportunities to volunteer. And it has a name, Heart something I honestly forgot, which is bad on me, because I didn't know you were going to.
That's right.
Bring me up here. But it's going to be kind of fun. We asked for 30 Penn State students, and we have them on Sunday, the 30th or the 31st, whatever that Sunday is, for sort of an intense time for them to help us with particularly the community paths, is our, clean some of those up some, and then some other odds and ends. But we're quite excited about it, and then we hope that this will continue year after year. So one, it's a sort of participatory thing with outreach, sort of Penn State's actually outreaching to us, but it's kind of reciprocal, and just get a little bit more community that's involved with the community gardens.
Yeah, it's definitely a start.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Heidi. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but it is a very concrete example of what Paige was outlining, put together.
So I just want to mention one other thing. We have in the audience former Patton Township Supervisor Bryce Boyer. Bryce is also a historian and knows everything there is to know about Scotia and Grays Woods Preserve. And Bryce and Paige worked very closely together this summer on aspects of her report. And I know she enjoyed working with Bryce.
Great.
And I don't know if Bryce wants to say anything, but he was a big help to Paige through this whole
Great.
process. Bryce doesn't.
Come on up to the mic. You know the routine.
Bryce is a man of few words.
He's shy. He's always shy.
I didn't come to speak tonight, so I'm not going to have it prepared. It was a pleasure to be able to work with Paige on this. My interest is, of course, the history and Scotia. Bob Hazelton, who now lives up in Montoursville, was heavy into it. I was into it before he got into it, but we got a pretty good history of Scotia. We have an HO scale model. It's 8 by 12 of what Scotia looked like out there. If you go out through the area now, all you see is woods, brush. There were about 400 people lived out there and worked out there. I'd like to be able to get that model someplace that it can be seen. I think it would be an improvement to drawing people in to the history and to what Patton Township was. I like to go back to the thing that was iron ore. Without iron ore, Moses Thompson wouldn't have been here. Moses Thompson and the Irvins and so on, they hadn't come, Penn State wouldn't be here. Because they are the ones that put the money in the land and so on for Penn State or for the agricultural college. So I think that's a big thing that can be enhanced by the township.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that go forward.
Yeah, I agree. What are the dimensions of that 4 by 8 feet, you said, this model?
Sorry.
What are the dimensions of this model? That you,
It's 8 foot,
8,
8 foot long and 12 foot wide.
oh, so quite,
It would take
Yeah.
a space from about
Yeah.
the corner here out to where we're standing.
I'm trying to find a space for it here. I'm determined that it needs
Yeah.
to be in this building, and it should be
Okay.
in this part of the building.
does it have to actually be flat, or could it be mounted on a wall?
No, it would have to be.
Have to be flat, yeah, okay.
Because you've got the buildings and so on.
Of course, yeah, yeah. I love that kind of stuff myself, and I think it's very interesting. I've I walk there a lot, and I'm a plant person, so I'm always looking down at plants. But I walked with Ken Soder and learned about the mines, and then I've read some. When I tell others, what excites them is not really the plants. It's, when I say the word Carnegie, people are just blown away, because they know that, they can't believe that it actually happened right in that, mess of woods over there. It's just, it's a hook. And many people learn by different ways, some through history, some through botany, some through maps. It's great.
Great.
I can't wait to see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for that, Amy. That
Yep.
was great. Thank you, Walt. That was wonderful.
Page two.
Okay. So we don't need to,
You don't need to take any
vote
formal
on that,
action.
take a motion. I was going to make a motion of excellence, but I think we all agree to that. So next is the issue of smoothing the boundary that is between the Grays Woods Preserve and the Grays Woods Park. And the boundary is sort of as it presents, and the Keller Engineering, Grays Woods, and was it Susan Wheeler's committee? Yes.
Yeah.
The Recreation Advisory Committee.
Yeah, so I
guess,
can
Amy,
take
you're going
this
to take
one.
that?
Yep.
Okay.
So, as you may be aware, the Open Space Committee has been looking at potentially putting the Grays Woods Preserve into the Game Commission's 400 Areas program. If it goes into the 400 Areas program, the Game Commission will manage that piece of property for the township based on our forest management plan or our conservation plan. To do that, though, the boundary, which is a little wonky right now because that was originally proposed for development when we bought it, needs to be smoothed out. So we actually engaged Keller Engineering to propose the smoothing of the boundary. We've been working on it, and Larry has a copy of the map up for you to see. So what we did, we've been through, I think this is our 9th iteration of this boundary and talking back and forth. The boundary that we're showing up there would result in the preserve yielding 153.976 acres, which is an increase of 4.236 acres, and the park decreasing in size slightly to 39.224 acres. We have a conservation easement on the Grays Woods Preserve property, so Clearwater Conservancy had to be involved in these talks. The conservation easement is written so that we actually couldn't lose acreage in that when we did the smoothing. The Recreation Advisory Committee reviewed the proposed modification and they recommended approval of it. The Open Space Stewardship Committee also discussed it and proposed modification and also supported it and wanted a recommendation to approve it. I will say that this process is a little complicated because of the conservation easement. So if the board is supportive of smoothing the boundary the way that we're showing it, the next step in the process will have you execute an MOU, approve an MOU with the Clearwater Conservancy for the conservation easement part of it. And then we'll actually work with Keller Engineering. They have to do a land development plan and some other stuff, and it has to go through Half Moon Township because a portion of the preserve and the park property actually sit in Half Moon Township. So it's a little complicated, but in the end result is going to be that we have this amazing opportunity to have this large property maintained by the Pennsylvania Game Commission, which of course maintains and owns the Scotia Barrens. They have the same ecosystem, so it makes a lot of sense, I think, from the Open Space Committee. They feel it makes a lot of sense to have one entity managing both properties. That also results in giving us some more resources to do things elsewhere within our program. So we're asking tonight that you have some comments, questions, or agree with the proposed boundary smoothing. You can approve that, and then also to approve the memorandum of understanding with Clearwater.
Yeah, so, right, 2 motions. I'm going to ask for a motion first, and then we'll have discussion. So I have a motion on the first, which is the to approve the proposal from Keller Engineers about smoothing the boundaries.
I'll move. Also move.
Second.
Oh, that was a surprise. Okay, thank you. Any discussion on that? And the members of the audience too can participate. It looks fine to me. I've been through it as a member of the Open Space Stewardship Committee. I appreciate the work that was done. Okay, then I will call for the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, then we can go ahead and move with that proposal. Sounds great. And we also have to make a motion about an MOU with Clearwater Conservancy, which is in regard to the conservation easement on that. So can I hear somebody make a motion to that effect?
Make a motion?
I'll
Okay.
second.
Well, there we go. Any further discussion on that? Or any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, nays? Motion passes. Great, it's good to get moving on that. And get the 400 area program started. Okay. So next on the agenda is a proposed ordinance amending the CATA bus stop schedule, and Amy has an interesting historic fact on that, the number of bus stops that have grown in Patton Township.
Yeah, so back in the 1990s, the township enacted an ordinance that restricts parking within the CATA bus stops. We have precisely one bus stop on that schedule from the 1990s, and it has not really been updated since then. We have a lot more than one bus stop in the township now, and just the improved stops is a decent number. And we had an issue over the summer with people parking in an improved bus stop. So we are proposing that we're gonna go ahead and update that bus stop schedule. I got the list from CATA, excuse me, of all the bus stops. And so we've updated that in the ordinance if you approve that, and then we have mapping as well, so we know where every bus stop is. And we're gonna do a much better job of keeping track of these bus stops now as they grow and change.
Yeah. Sounds like we're being brought into the 21st century here. So let's have a motion of that first.
So moved.
All right. And
I'll second.
Great. So any comments on this?
Amy, I know, is this where we're going to do the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. I spoke to Mark Parfit, and I spoke to David Reisel.
Rishel, yep.
They would like to be informed at that meeting. They would like to be a part of.
So CAT is going to come to your September 24th meeting. So if you wanted, we could actually push this public hearing to September 24th. And then they'll be here for that discussion if we have any discussion or, you know, want them to be involved. So we can do that. That might be a little bit better. Instead of doing it at the meeting on the 10th.
Is your schedule pretty full on the 10th? Is that why?
We do have, they asked to be on the 24th. I gave them both dates, and they said the 24th worked for them, so that's why they asked for that meeting. If you want to align this so that they're all here for that discussion, then it would be the 24th.
Okay. They were saying to me differently, so 10th, the 24th is fine.
Yeah, Lori had confirmed with me it was on for the 24th. I'll confirm tomorrow just to make sure that's still the case.
Okay.
But if you're okay with that and they're coming on the 24th, why don't we do the public hearing on the 24th? If for some reason they're coming on the 10th, then we'll do it on the 10th. How about that?
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Pam, do you know is there a deadline on their end, on CATA's end, that they want to get this done quicker? Or,
no.
Sorry,
No, I don't think so.
obviously CATA made the appointment. I meant from Mark and the other person. Okay.
This actually originated from the township, not from CATA. They're very supportive of this because
Perfect. Okay.
this is an issue across the region, not just in Patton Township.
Great. And I forgot, did we get a motion?
You have a motion.
Okay, we did, so now we have to vote on it. I think that's where we're at. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, so we will be having a public hearing, and it's not designated in the motion, but I guess we need to change it to the 24th.
Yeah, it'll either be the 10th or the 24th.
Okay.
It'll be in September.
Okay, great. The next item is a request for a street closure, the famous Norwood Lane.
That's a fun block party.
Block party,
Are we
yes.
invited?
I've been to that. I would
I was invited 2
invite
years ago.
anyone here to go to it. It's great. I think we should, I don't know, have a game of volleyball or something. It's very fun. Good food, too. So, any details on that?
So it's August 23rd from 4 to 8 p.m. This is their annual block party. It is a good time. Can confess I was there 2 years ago. I judged the dessert contest.
Oh.
It was awesome. Yeah, it's a very organized block party.
It is very organized. Yeah. Okay, great. So we need a motion on this?
I'll move.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All righty. Any further discussion? And then if not, we'll have a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So no nays. We can announce to the Norwood folks that they can go ahead, and I'm going to put in for that dessert testing position.
It was a good time.
That's great. We're on to planning and zoning. So that, I guess I just noticed a changing of the guard here. That's significant.
We're tag teaming.
So, Jenna, are you going to take over from here? We've got I guess our planning commission, we did not meet. Yeah, I forgot about that. So it's our R4 zoning proposal.
All right, so at its July 2025 meeting, the Planning Commission reviewed a proposal from Mr. Elliott Killian to consider the creation of a new R4 high-density residential zoning district as an alternative to the existing R3 medium-density residential zoning district. His proposal aims to address regional housing challenges by allowing greater residential density, reduced parking requirements, and modern development standards. So township staff, we sat down and reviewed the analysis and essentially did a comparison of the R3 district, that was the initial intent, as well as expanding out to your other zoning districts, just to see if there's any other zoning districts where a lot of these goals and policies that he would like to see, if they are somewhere else other than the R3 district. So Planning Commission reviewed this. They were in agreement with staff on our analysis. While I get up my PowerPoint.
Jenna, can you move the mic a little closer to you? I think I'm having trouble hearing it, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So, all right. Make sure everyone at home. If anyone at home cannot see this, please let me know. All right. So today we're going to review the proposal that was provided by Mr. Killian, summarize those key elements again, go through comparison table to table of the R3 district and then other districts that we looked at, as well as other opportunities and considerations that we should be considering, and how this plays into the overall housing strategy in Patton Township. So a little timeline, in 2021, we had the Housing Task Force report. 22, we started the ADU discussions. Those were not received very well. 24, we had I presented the housing framework on how we are to go about addressing this affordable housing crisis and just housing shortage in general. And then 2025, as we recently just completed the property maintenance code adoption, which in ways addresses all rental properties, but specifically short-term rentals, the problem properties that are not complying with our current ordinances. And then we had the R4 proposal submitted in May, and we are, as I sit here and talk, we are starting the attainable housing ordinance work, and that is beginning. So the proposal, again, it aims to address the housing crisis with increased density, reduced parking, modern design. It aligns with some goals in Patton Township's housing strategy. And while we're reviewing it, it is a little premature. It's almost a cart before the horse type of situation. And I look at this as Mr. Killian did a lot of mine and Nicole's work on identifying areas, existing zoning districts, on these incentive items, these things that are going to move that needle for the development community to build this affordable units that we want. So again, timeline that we have here, this three-prong housing strategy approach, the property maintenance code, attainable housing ordinance, zoning ordinance review. 2 and 3, in my opinion, go hand in hand. There's a lot of that zoning ordinance review that is going to be in the attainable housing ordinance, those incentives for the developers in order to build the affordable units. And the one thing about pushing Mr. Killian's before the attainable housing ordinance, I don't want to provide incentives before we have our attainable ordinance in place, because if they are good enough, developers will utilize them, and I'd prefer that we have a attainable housing ordinance in place so we can ensure that some of those units are affordable.
Good bargaining.
Yes. So
Good
this is the comparison that staff looked at for the proposed R4 and your existing R3 zoning district. So max height, the current R3 permits 3550 feet. It depends on how many units are in that development, but there is that flexibility provided for the development community. There's a lot more density within Mr. Killian's proposal. Right now, I'd say R3 is about 32 apartments per acre. Lot coverage, we're at 75% for the proposal. And for R3, we're at 40. Obviously, reduced parking, that's one of those wonderful community benefit things that I think all planners want, because parking requirements were just made up one day by planners. But I would say that having your parking requirements in your saldo is one of those best planning practices, because you as the elected body can modify or waive those parking requirements. So that's a lot of flexibility already built in. Setbacks, we have a little varied setbacks for the R3 district. Again, it's just going to depend if it's a single family, duplex, et cetera. But there is that flexibility. It also allows you, if you have multiple units on an R3 property, if you group them closer together, you're getting greater open space around. So there's a lot of flexibility built into that R3 zoning district. And then the one key item that Mr. Killian did include in his proposal was these on-site amenities to reduce vehicle reliance by residents. So a lot of these bigger communities that you see in Florida and Texas, they have a lot of on-site amenities. So if it's a small grocery store, a gym, all these things to cut down on those everyday trips that residents have to take, and essentially creating incentives if those are built into the communities. And that is what we are seeing nationwide. So then we took it out to beyond the R3.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt.
absolutely.
On the previous slide, I'm looking at the bottom right-hand corner where it's existing R3 and the accessory uses.
Yep.
And reduced parking spaces for bike parking. I'm assuming that you mean you're reducing car parking spaces for bike, okay.
Yep.
Just double checking that.
Yes.
I didn't post, okay, perfect.
That is correct.
Thanks,
Yes.
Jenna. Okay.
So then we took it a step further. We looked at the proposal in comparison to other zoning districts, because while R3 does permit a lot of density, you have other zoning districts that permit a lot more. So that's really hidden in the MXD and the MXD2 districts. So that's your Patton Crossing areas. So R2, we already have those permits reduced side setbacks. That is for if there's a difference between your single-family home or duplex being built. R3, it already permits up to 60 feet in height for buildings, for large buildings. So there is a density requirement in order to take advantage of that height increase. And then the MXD and MXD2, those are significant height limits. That is your mixed use and transit-oriented development principles that Mr. Killian's really trying to get into the R3 or R4 districts. So they are in other ordinances that you have here. So we sat down with staff, just looking at additional opportunities and considerations. So opportunity, 100% accessory dwelling units. When we talk about affordability, housing stock, getting more of them, absolutely. And one of those things for communities that are not completely built out, don't have the access to public sewer, septic capacity, especially for the areas, because frankly your larger lots are outside the sewer service area, and where they can probably build some of these units. You know, there's some other things that we just need to ensure that are in place and set up to take on that additional density. So it's not a can't do, it's just something that we need to consider as we look at this. The idea of planned communities, this is a big one for Patton Township and Ferguson Township specifically. So while we may make changes, whether it's ADUs, et cetera, because those developments are governed by master plans, these changes to our zoning have no impact on them. So we can say ADUs are permitted, but if that home in Toff Trees was a single family portion of that development, that's all that they can have. There, I'm sure, are processes to amend that. I know there was at Ferguson. It's similar to an HOA. Over half of the development needs to sign on to amend it, et cetera, but it's not easy. So that's something that we are going to have to look at across the region for a lot of these planned communities that have these master plans, because they really are locked in. And then just transit coordination. So part of this proposal, again, it was decreasing cars, decreasing parking. No issue with that. Clearly, we want to be doing this in the areas that CATA serves, because they need a way to get to work and wherever they need to go. So the only thing that we really need to be considering is the current driver shortage with CATA. And if we are permitting, ideally if we permit it within the regional growth boundary where we have these services provided, shouldn't be a huge impact. But again, just more partners that need to be part of this conversation as we start looking to tweak our ordinances for this. So staff's recommendation, I mean, the work that Mr. Killian did is very valuable for me. Like I said, he did a lot of my work and Nicole's work. He found a lot of things for us. And we're going to keep going and looking at it as we work on the attainable housing ordinance, because again, development is a math problem. And if the numbers don't work, if the incentives aren't right, no one's going to build anything. The reality is your R3 district, a lot of it's built. There aren't really any more vacant lots that are R3. So the reality of this is we need to either look at the type of incentives that would make it worth it for someone to demo a property and rebuild, and or we need to be looking at other areas where we do want to see this mixed higher density housing type of development. So those are some of the big things that staff we're looking at on our end, because every municipality is different. We all have our own nuances and how we're going to go about addressing them. But staff's recommended approach is adopting the attainable housing ordinance. Before we are permitting density, incentives, whatever, I want to make sure that ordinance is in place so we are getting affordable units out of those developments as well. I think that's probably the biggest concern that staff had, just in the timing. So not that it shouldn't move forward, I think it's part of this process on the attainable housing ordinance. So yeah, next steps, I'm going to be presenting on the attainable housing ordinance next, so I will not give away all the fun of that presentation. But I fully plan on keeping this R4 proposal. We've done a lot of analysis on it already. It's going to help us with that ordinance. And then just continuing that dialogue, especially for the attainable housing ordinance. This type of ordinance, it does bring out stereotypical responses, and it's a lot about educating and keeping that dialogue open, especially with residents. So if there's any questions about that, I'm happy to answer.
My friends, any comments or questions?
Nope, I'm good.
I wanted to make a mention of the time that Patton had brought up, or the planners in Patton had brought up the ADU, and it was actually in the planning commission, which had not even gone to the supervisors. And because this discussion of ADUs actually followed Patton Crossing development, and there's a great hue and cry. Many good things came out of the tension between, about a new development project, between supervisors, staff, and neighbors. And the one good thing that came out of it was being proactive in announcing projects. And so putting up in social media, or putting up a sign on the road of pending development, similar to what Ferguson does. And so the planning commission, in its due diligence, announced that it was going to be discussing affordable, accessory dwelling units. And people came out in droves, and here it was just in the planning commission. So I think it was, I don't know if you were here at that time, or you certainly heard about it, Nicole Pollock,
Definitely
and I
heard
talked
about
about it a lot. Just realizing in hindsight it was not appropriately, and I mean appropriately, it was not effectively rolled out. And yeah, there wasn't that building of interest or information, and people were having the knee-jerk traditional reaction of, not in my backyard, so it was a challenge. We realized that afterwards. But I personally don't think that doesn't mean that this community will not ultimately be amenable to ADUs. So,
I would just add that I think if you had that conversation today, the answer would be vastly different. We have found a number of ADUs in the township that are being rented as short-term rentals. Nicole is following up on them because people are not realizing they're creating accessory dwelling units, but they're creating accessory dwelling units. There's a house in Park Forest right now where they've done that. So I think the conversation, again, because things have changed in the world, I think the conversation might be a little different today than it was a couple of years ago when it was had.
so you're thinking people might be more accepting of it?
Anecdotally, I don't know, but
Okay.
anecdotally, it's just the number that we've found has been,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just one, it's not just two, it's more than we think there are, and people don't understand what they're doing, and yeah, I mean, I just think the conversation might be a little different now.
I hope so, because sometimes, I think in that case, do we use the word duplex? I think they did. Duplex was one of the categories that would fall under the ADU. And I think that the word duplex was maybe a very charged word, that people thought, oh, it's a certain density of cars or density of people, without realizing that there are effectively duplexes in many places here. So I hope you're right. Yeah, so. Oh, great. So super, thank you for that. I'm really excited about this. I think it's been long simmering and long needed to be looked at. So next we're going to look at the essentially the timeline of attainable housing or ordinance. And Jenna, is that you also, or did you didn't already cover that, did you?
That is me.
Okay, gotcha.
My thing is right in my way. Okay, let's go that way. All right, so attainable housing, Patton Township. So again, just a reminder, because it was a while ago before I was in front of you talking about this ordinance specifically. Overall, we have a lot of plans in front of us, even prior to the 2023 housing needs assessment from the county, the 081 all still identified a need as well. So this is a well-documented issue in Center County, specifically the Center region. And so really the purpose and intent of this ordinance overall, inclusive, transparent, and data-driven. That's probably the biggest items that I want to hit with this ordinance specifically, because we're not talking about amending an existing ordinance. We are talking about creating a whole new ordinance that is for Patton Township. So this is a very big process. It will be a long process. A lot of community engagement, a lot of education, because again, we're dealing with these knee-jerk reactions, and it's going to be getting the good information out to the public is going to make this successful. So we want this to be grounded in best practices, and again, that meaningful engagement with the public. So I have this divided out pretty much into 7 phases. Key components in this, we have the advisory committee, we got public outreach, the actual drafting, adoption, education, and my work doesn't stop after that. Then we have post-adoption follow-up. No ordinance is perfect. I wish it was first time written. I can guarantee you there will be problems that we will need to track, learn from, amend accordingly. So all of the phases are out here. I have this at a year. That's a very aggressive timeline. So keep that in mind. I don't think we'll stick to it, but ideally, yes, we can do this. So phase 1, initiation and planning. So this public kickoff meeting, we need to introduce this concept. We need to gather ideas from the public. We need to define the goals and the challenges that Patton Township is facing. The internal working team kind of has already been established with Amy, Nicole, myself. We have Missy Schoonover. She is with the Center County Housing and Land Trust. Patton Township has an MOU with them to manage whatever units are built and not manage. I always say that, and Missy yells at me. We do not do property management. We will ensure that the individuals that are renting or living in these units are income qualified, not property management. And then forming the advisory committee. So this committee ideally will be the technical experts. We will have the developers, the realtors, we have Habitat listed, just trying to get a wide range. We have bankers, because again, development, it's a math problem. And there's a lot of funding and loans that go with it, so we are going to have bankers on this committee just to see the other side. Is this realistic? Mostly just to go head to head with the developers if we run into any issues there. So ideally, that'll be phase 1. Phase 2, heading into the fall, this will be our research and issue identification. So we have our targeted stakeholder dialogue with individuals that we think that we need to be talking with, these communities, areas where we are not necessarily built out, where inevitably a lot of this development could be going with the right incentives in place. So we need to be reviewing past plans, best practices. A lot of this has already been done. And then we need to define attainable housing for Patton Township. There are 3 affordable housing ordinances in the region, and they're all different. So we really need to define what is attainable housing in Patton Township. So that'll be a big part of that.
Quick question there. The targeted stakeholder, does that mean you have identified particular people or groups of people that you want to talk, and you'll reach out to them, or will this be broadcast with an invitation for the public?
Both.
Okay,
I would
great.
imagine, yes. So a lot of the advisory committee members were the individuals that were on the
2021?
Yes.
But yes,
Yes.
okay. That was
So
a
we have
great
a lot of
project.
people that are familiar.
Perfect, yeah.
Specifically with Patton Township, the goals and the policies that were established in that plan, in addition to a few new players as we are drafting the ordinance. And those are just those technical experts that
Okay, that's
deal
great.
with
That's
this
a good start.
every day.
Thanks.
And then phase 3, so this is community outreach education. Again, we're targeted stakeholder input, property management. We're talking rent, landlords, small, large, et cetera. And then also the residents. You know, this is where we'll have our public meetings, open houses, come on out. It's essentially trying to break down those stereotypes that most people assume when they hear attainable housing. So this will include our outreach plan. So we're going to have frequently asked questions, social media, videos, website. The website's already built on our page. I don't know if we made it live yet. So we have a lot of stuff ready to go. But again, a lot of it is just going to be engaging with the public and making sure everyone understands what this is for Patton Township. So then we'll go to essentially trying to capture everyone's contact information so we can provide that continuum updates as we move through this process. I never, at the end of my time writing an ordinance, amending an ordinance, people coming in at the public hearing saying that they didn't know this was going on, I didn't do my job. So we want to really make sure that this gets out to everyone. Phase 4 is just drafting the ordinance, so that is going to be a lot of staff time, working with that advisory committee, getting their eyes on it, sharing that ordinance with the Planning Commission, the board, the advisory committee, get that review, sharing it with Betsy for the legal review and enforceability of it. That is the interesting thing about essentially municipalities in Pennsylvania. This is not something that is outright not legal, but is not
Authorized or whatever.
authorized.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the MPC, their Parkland fee is included, and there are specific things that we can do.
Yeah, right.
So, and there are things that aren't really mentioned.
Okay.
So,
But they aren't specifically prohibited?
no.
Okay.
And there's other ways.
Right, there's a very fine line,
Yeah.
okay.
Fine line.
I hear what
which
you're saying, okay.
Goes back to the committee, having the developers in on that committee,
Okay.
getting their buy-in. I've met with them multiple times for the comprehensive plan. They all agree the affordable housing can be built. They don't have an issue with that. So I think it's going to be a marriage of getting their buy-in on an ordinance that they believe they can work with, and then we don't necessarily have to worry about that stuff.
Gotcha.
And then phase 5, this is just revising that draft ordinance that's based on input, whether it's planning commission, the board, the advisory committee, formal comment period for public. We'll have the public meetings. Based on all that feedback, the board, you will get your updated draft. Based on all of that, a lot of red line copies of, Jenna, why did you remove this? And really just dialing down this ordinance so it is something everyone understands why every little part is or is not making it into that final draft. And then phase 6 is the adoption. You know, we will, any other ordinance, it will be going into zoning, so it'll be planning commission reviewing it, CRPC, the county, finally over to the board for the public hearing. And then I get to get into my implementation planning. So there's a lot of checklists, staff materials that will be created, because if you have a developer coming in, may not have been involved in the process, like I have to do what now? So having those communication materials ready so anyone who walks through the door of Patton Township can easily educate, explain what this is, how they can make it work in their plan. And then post-adoption follow-up, as I alluded to, while I wish all my ordinances were perfect first draft, they're not. So we will be tracking this ordinance as we have to put it into practice. And we will identify issues, and we'll get to sit here and weigh, is this a big enough issue that we need to address right away, or is it something that, good to know, let's keep seeing how this plays out, et cetera. So there's a lot of post-action and follow-up after.
Yeah.
But overall, again, inclusive, transparent, and really it's just based on local needs and feasibility. And that's all I have.
Any comments, reactions from anyone? I have a question about AMI.
About what?
AMI.
Yes.
So average medium, area medium income. The reason I say this is I've been talking a lot to Susan Trainer, who in College Township, and every time she talks about this, she throws out percent of the AMI.
Yeah.
And so I'm always trying to get my mind around that. So I'm assuming that when you get into the weeds, you will also be using AMI, percentage of AMI.
That was the beginning part of what is attainable housing for Patton Township.
Did you mention it tonight?
It was first on my first slide of
Oh, thank you.
defining
Then I
what
must have
this
totally
ordinance
missed that. I'm
is.
sorry.
Which is a ton of different topics.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, okay.
AMI, it's what incentives do you want to provide?
Okay.
It's, do you want to allow fee in lieu? There's a ton of different things, and it's
Yeah.
going to be based off of
Okay.
board's policies and goals that you all want.
Okay, so it was covered in that, thank you. Great, any comments from anybody else? No, thank you so much. Thank you for all this work, and thank you to Mr. Killian for sort of kickstarting this. I think it's great. Super. So we're on to, we just did the timeline, which is great. We're on to administration, financial trends monitoring report. Who's doing that tonight?
Our Assistant Township Manager for Finance and Administration, Mr. Larry Pegger.
Yeah, Mr. Larry Pegger. So,
Quelle surprise.
you know, tonight it seems like a party here at this.
Well, we finally got to the
We
highlight.
start with retirements, we go to promotions, new employees, block parties, attainable housing, now we get to really fun stuff.
Yeah.
Anything accounting.
Wow.
So, financial trends monitoring. And then we finish up with something even more exciting, the manager's report, right?
Best for last.
We'll bring out the drum roll. Okay.
So let me see if I can get this
To work.
to work. There we go. All right, so the financial trends monitoring system is a look at some indicators of financial stability and sustainability for delivery of the township services for our residents and businesses. We have done this report. This is the 16th year we've done it. This is the 10th year I've done it. I think we're getting better at it every year. We're dialing in a little bit better every year. So, without further ado, let's go on to the highlights. So, on the latest estimate of population growth here in the township, I'm going to drop that down really small. We have an estimate from the Census Bureau of 15,887 residents. I'm saying that's stable. It's you know, it's gone up like 0.25% from the 2020 census. It's gone up 230 people from last year, but the last 2 years it went down, so, you know, it changes. So I think it's pretty stable. There's not a big difference in the number of residents we have. There's also not a big difference in our demographics as to age. We're pretty much staying with the same amount of residents that are over 65, that are in between, you know, 18 and 64. The percentages may change by 1.5%, but we're basically very stable on that. The sources of revenue, as you can see, we compare 2024, which is obviously the last year that we've had a full year worth of information, versus 10 years before that. The reason why you see big differences in the real estate taxes is in 2024, we had much more in intergovernmental revenue, which is grants. So we're trying, you know, to get more grant money to pay for our services. So, you know, as a piece of the pie, you know, our real estate taxes really still are a big part of our income. They're higher in actual dollars than they were 10 years ago, but as a percentage of our whole revenue, they look like they're done, as does earned income taxes, et cetera, because you can see that our grants went from 9.51% to 22%.
Do you anticipate that, the percentage of grants staying the same? Was that in large part because of the IRA, or whatever it was called?
That was, yeah, so over the past 3 years, we had the ARPA money,
Yes.
which were a big, so
Yeah.
I would expect that the grants would come down
Okay.
a little bit, but we're still getting grants to fund body worn cameras.
Yeah.
We're getting grants to do the roof. We've gotten grants to do the top trees, traffic,
The redesign of the,
the traffic lights. So we'll always be out there looking for as much grants as we can.
Yeah.
But they were inflated the last 3 years because of the ARPA money.
so it's as much a function of grants being out there as the staff time and energy put into
That's correct.
searching for grants. And
Yeah.
that's increased recently also.
Yeah, I will say that Susan Wheeler, Michelle Marrow, and myself are the primary people that go out looking for grants. Susan and Michelle have a whole system set up where, because if they don't want to go and compete against each other for grants.
super.
So we've been
Yeah.
working on different opportunities. Michelle's been wonderful at getting stuff for our roads. And we're really, when the new casino opens in March here in Center County, we will be able to apply for local share funding from the Center County Casino Fund.
Okay.
So that's another source that will help us as well, in addition to the roof was done through the local share statewide fund from the gaming.
Yeah, great. So the fact that they don't want to compete is actually a plus because they're
Yes.
working together and
Yep.
helping each other out. That's
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
So I say that this is stable only because we had that influx of the 1.7 million of ARPA funds over the 3 years. Okay, this is just another look at the revenue source, and you can see again that this is in dollars. You can see that the blue, which is the real estate taxes, is pretty level from year to year. But you can see the yellow, which is the grants. It goes up and down. This is a comparison of our revenues and expenses. So the dark blue and the dark red are our nominal dollars, which means that's actually what we spend. Okay, so you can see that in 2021, we spent more than we got in 2022, we spent more than we got in. 2023 and 2024, we're working on increasing our fund balance.
Yep.
So you can see that we're spending less than our revenue is, or it's actually the other way around, I'm sorry. We're working now to increase that with our tax increase. The constant dollar amount is really the amount that's affected by inflation. So if we took inflation on, where would we be? And you can see we're actually kind of coming down because inflation's going up and we're not keeping up with inflation.
What year is that inflation based off? Is that how it's done?
It goes back to the first year of the report.
So back to
it
2014?
It goes back further than 2014. It goes back to 2005.
And will it always go back?
16 years ago.
So will it always go back to 2005 or will it always be 16 years?
Huh?
Will it always go back to 20?
But we can change it whenever we want.
Oh, okay.
To keep it constant, it's always been on that.
Okay.
From the very first year.
Okay. I'm just curious. Thank you.
Okay, this is expenditures by department. This is in years. You can see the expenditures kind of stay relatively even, with the exception of Public Works. in I'm gonna say that's 2021, and that's due to projects that we did that year. Community services in 2017, and that would have been due to, I think, the Valley Vista
Path, okay.
multi-use path.
And we had to do all of that remedial work when we ran into trouble with the ground substance, okay.
And in also in 2019, in debt, that was our refinance of our debt.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Okay? So that actually is, it's remaining stable for the past few years. I don't see anything wrong with that. Okay, benefits as a percentage of total wages. I still say this is stable, but it's always worrisome. I think it's worrisome for everybody. Okay, it's heavily impacted by two numbers. That would be pension, namely police pension, because it's a defined benefit plan. The non-uniform pension is pretty even because we just pay 6.5% of payroll, and that's all we do. But as we'll talk about in our next meeting in September, the police pension has the minimum municipal obligation, the amount that we have to pay. That goes up and down depending on how well we do in the market. So that has a major effect on it. The other thing that has a major effect on it, of course, is our health care plan. Okay, and our health care plan in 2024 had a very significant increase. We don't know what that increase is going to be in 2025 yet, but if we get hit with another significant increase in 2025, we'll probably see this 55.4% increase, and then we'll probably have to talk about plan changes to the plan that we give our employees. You see the 37.18 in 2020. As you know, that was the COVID year. Nobody was going to the doctors. Our health care is not like your car insurance where you're paying an amount every month for health insurance. Our health insurance is Larry Pegger goes to the hospital. The hospital bills Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield bills Patton Township. So we pay for actual usage of the plan, not a monthly premium. So the fact that the employees didn't visit the doctors because all the doctors' offices were closed, and the bills were much less than they were, so the percentage as total wages were much lower. So this is stable with the caveat that we're going to continue to watch it because it could very well go to unfavorable next year. Unfunded pension ratio is favorable. You'll see that our unfunded amount has gone in 2009 from 0.13%, which is very low to begin with, down to where we were overfunded in 2017, and in 2023 it was at 0.03% underfunded. So keep in mind that a lot of plans are, 30% underfunded, 40% underfunded, 25% underfunded. I came from a place that was 25% underfunded in our defined benefit plan. So 0.03 is very favorable. Our ratio of cash to current liabilities continues to get closer. It is still stable because we still have more cash than we have current liabilities, what you look at here is that if everything came due current, that you have current, which is our utility bills and payroll, et cetera, that are current bills, which means that are due within the next 30 days. If they all came due tomorrow, do we have enough cash to pay for it? And as long as that number is above zero, we're in good shape. So we're stable because we're keeping it above zero. We should expect that in 2025, with the changes we made in the 2025 budget, that's going to start going back up. That's going to turn that trend to where it was in 2021 and 2022, because we had the influx of the ARPA funds that pushed it up, and now it came back down. We're going to push it back up again with our budgeting process.
Is this related in any way to the fund balance?
Yes.
Okay.
It does relate.
So we're trying to build.
We're trying to build the fund
reduce-
balance, which also will build the cash balance.
Right, but we're trying to moderate it. So the fund balance was pretty high at one point. We tried to bring it down, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And now we're
We
hoping
had a
that.
fund balance that was extremely high, and we went through a period of purposely bringing it
Right.
down,
Yeah.
overspending, spending more than we had, and then we hit COVID, which exacerbated things, and it just, it bottomed out, and we're now
Yeah.
trying to recover from that.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Okay?
Yep, got it.
This is also favorable. This is our ratio of long-term debt to our assessed real estate values. It continues to come down. It only ticks up when we borrow money. So we borrowed money in 2017, and we borrowed, which 2017 was again the refinance, and then we borrowed money for the Burnell Fox Hill intersection in 2021. So it continues to come down. It's also very low as a ratio goes, so it's very favorable. This is stable. Center County's unemployment rate as of June 2025 was 2%. Center County traditionally, in the 10 years that I've been here, has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state of Pennsylvania. It continues to have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state of Pennsylvania. So when they talk about the unemployment rate for Pennsylvania, they might say it's closer to 3%, 2.7%, 2.8%. This always comes out lower because I always look at Center County as opposed to the whole state. There are higher rates in Philadelphia, Erie, Pittsburgh. Those areas have higher rates of unemployment. But Center County, I think because of the university and the healthcare system, we have a tendency to be kind of cushioned from recessions. It comes a little later than it does for the rest of the state, and it also recovers a little later than the rest of the state. So the unemployment rate continues to be lower because Penn State doesn't often lay off people, and the healthcare industry doesn't often lay off people. So I would say that we're stable. You can see we're stable. You can see going back to 2020 during the pandemic, there was a large spike that we went up over 10%, but we have now hovered between 2 and 4% now since January of 23, somewhere around there. And that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. I mean, you were asking questions along the way, which I appreciate.
Thank you, yeah, thanks for letting me do that. It's like I learn a little bit more each time I see this, right, every year. Any questions? Any from the audience? Online or off, or in, I should say? Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
As always, and now, the ultimate event of the party.
No,
you still got 2 more items.
You got a couple items here. You got a
You're
board
not at-
input.
not at the
Oh, I
party
can't,
yet.
oh, you're right, thank you, okay. Yes. So let's
So
look at the next item, please.
we're getting ready to prepare the CIP, and I always say, and I just said this to Ryan the other day, I like to not think about the budget till September, and people are trying to make me think about it 2 weeks before September, so whatever. But we're just asking, we gave you a copy of this year's CIP. If you have any ideas, any projects, anything you think we should be looking into, just shoot us an email, Larry or I, and we will start looking into it for you. So we just put that on as an information item.
And I have a little note to myself to ask you for a hard copy of that.
Yes,
Is that?
I can give you one.
Thank you, okay. I can just come and get it.
Actually, probably have one in my packet, I can just give
Okay,
it to
whatever.
look.
Thank
Maybe
you.
not. But I'll get you one.
I have one, right?
You should.
Yeah.
If you don't, in fact, we can just get one for everybody. I can bring them to the general forum on Monday.
Okay, good.
Yeah. that's
Okay,
good.
perfect. Yeah, okay, great. So, yes, and now we have the appointment of the delegate to the Pennsylvania Municipal League Annual Summit.
So we need someone who will vote at the resolutions committee and then the annual meeting. I will note that our friend Centrise Martin from Ferguson Township will become president at the annual meeting, so it's a little bit bigger of a deal this year for the center region. So last year, Suton was our delegate, and we took a lot of pictures of him voting with his sign. He might have made me do that.
Yeah. Who's going this year? Because I can't go.
Oh, I'm going.
Pam and Susan are going.
Okay. And it's in Erie, right?
Yes.
Should it go?
October 2nd.
So,
Whatever.
Susan, would you like to do it?
I love voting.
you will what?
I love voting.
Yeah. She's a troublemaker, no.
I like it. Good trouble, right?
That was a very diplomatic answer. Yeah. I gotta tell you.
Yes, Pam, would you like to be the alternate?
Yeah, I'll be the alternate.
Okay. Can we make a motion to that effect so I can fill the form out?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, so what we'll do is, actually, yes, have a motion with those, with those details filled in. So would somebody like to make that motion with the details filled in?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. And all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Now's your chance. Okay. Seeing no nays, or I say nays or ayes, the yays have it. All righty. So thank you, Susan, and thank you, Pam. And so now, oh, the consent agenda. Boy, I really was trying to skip ahead there.
You're like really excited.
So we have 4 items on the consent agenda. We don't need to list those items. All I need is a motion to approve the items that are in the consent agenda.
So moved.
And,
Second.
all righty. The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, so the consent agenda moves into the approved column. And now,
Now comes the big
I-
the
moment.
managers.
I mean, I really hope I live up to the hype every month.
There we go, let's hear, all
I mean,
right.
maybe I'll have to make like a song
I mean, it's
sometime.
not close to being, the bowling champion, but it's close.
Yeah, that one at the end needs to stop
was the
with
bowl-
his
oh, that's
bowling
right.
prowess. Okay, so
That would be chief, yes.
we don't need to
Good
rehash his victory.
I'll tell him later.
He's got a trophy and everything.
Yes, he can show you his trophy. Okay, anyway, manager's report. So first thing on my report is that the COG notified us that the documents have been signed for the SPPA. So that is finally a done thing. And the first meeting of the Center County Solar Group is tentatively scheduled for September 24th at 8:30 a.m. Betsy, I believe you are still our representative to the Center County Solar Group.
Well, yes, officially, but Larry is
goes.
actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm the alternate, so I can
The
do all
alternate,
the
and
meetings
Larry
anyways.
is the brains
Yeah.
in
Yes.
that meeting, okay.
Yes.
Yep,
I'm there to support Larry's brains, okay.
yeah.
They need a lot of support.
He's the math, the figures, the numbers guy,
Okay.
as we all know, okay.
Okay, next thing.
It's exciting.
We are talking still about the single-use plastics ordinance. I swear someday that thing will be finished. We are getting ready to look into and kick off the community engagement stage. We're talking about doing a survey with business owners that would be impacted by the ordinance and kicking that off perhaps in October. I'm hoping September 10th I'll have some draft questions for you to look at. We're also going to do engagement and outreach to interested folks. I've targeted the Happy Valley Business Association out here as one of the groups we should talk to. If you have any other groups that you think we should be targeting, let me know. The idea is we're going to put together kind of a toolkit so that whenever you do your outreach, you do it in your own community, but we're all speaking up with the same voice. So it's kind of exciting that's actually moving forward. Next thing, this is just an update. The state budget, of course, is in limbo. David Rischel from CATA sent us an email, the managers, yesterday and said, CATA is in solid financial shape right now, so the lack of a state budget and no increase in transit funding is not having an immediate impact on us. We are at no risk to reduce our services. The state is funding us at last year's levels until there is a budget deal. So in case anybody was worried about that, it doesn't seem to be having an impact yet on CATA, but certainly we hope that they get the budget done soon. And lastly, and this is like the exciting social event of the fall, the Center County Association of Township Officials, of which I am your second vice president, is holding its fall convention on Tuesday, September 30th at Toft Trees Resort. Our theme this year, instead of having a boring business meeting and some speaker that you fall asleep during the middle of, our theme this year is the Township Showcase. So we are asking townships across Center County, if you have something that makes you unique, perhaps you birthed a national holiday, perhaps Andrew Carnegie came through your community and built a mining town, perhaps you're celebrating your 150th anniversary. We're inviting all townships to come and tell us what makes their township cool, and then we're gonna do a raffle, and we're asking folks to donate items that are unique to their community. And we'd like to put together a map of said items that we get so folks that are in attendance can go out and be a tourist in our own county and see all these cool places.
I like this.
So yeah, we're trying to reinvigorate the CCATO a bit because it's become a bit stale in years past. No disrespect to our friends that planned it in the past, but we're gonna try to showcase what we have to offer. We will have still the business meeting because we have to do that kind of stuff. And we will also have Happy Valley Adventure Bureau there to hear all the cool things that are happening in our townships and talk a little bit about some of their grant programs. So that is September 30th at Toft Trees. I believe the evening starts at 5 o'clock. If you want to go, let me know. We will get you registered. I know, Pam, you're going to be on the bus to Erie because I have to leave after that event to drive to Erie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I know you won't be able to be there, but if the rest of you want to go, it should be a fun time. I'm hoping it's a fun time.
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
Yes. So that's it, and I'll answer any questions that you have.
That's exciting. I'm interested in going to that, if
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
you want to put it down there?
I'm putting it in my calendar.
Even though you're going to Erie the next
I'm not,
No, she's
yeah,
not
I won't
going
go
into
till
the next day.
Oh,
I
the
have
day
to leave
after.
as soon as that
Okay.
thing is over to get to Erie, because I have a meeting at 8 a.m. in Erie, so
Oh, yeah, I might go that
On Thursday? Or on
Wednesday. Yeah, I have a board at the PML board meeting, so I have to literally like have all the caffeine so I can get myself to Erie before.
Okay.
I'm going to miss it.
And
Okay.
do we know what we're donating for Patton yet?
No, I'm open to your suggestions of like a favorite restaurant, a favorite store.
Well, if we do something, I would prefer a homegrown, an independent owner as opposed to a chain store like Starbucks. I would prefer Otto's over Starbucks.
Right.
That's an
Right.
example. But there are other homegrowns. And, you know, you might, I wonder if, or whatever, if you could ask them to donate something. It might-
Yeah, we could look into that.
'Cause
We also might reach out, the State College Spikes donated for our local government week stuff, so we might reach out to the State College Spikes because they're actually located in College Township. So they might be interested in donating. It's some of these unique, interesting
Yeah.
businesses that we have within the local communities. They might want to actually just donate independently.
Yeah, okay.
We kind of thought this was a better raffle than winning a hat from a vendor or a koozie from a vendor or something. This is something unique that you can go visit in your own community. We'll still have the vendor items as well. We appreciate and love the vendors. But
Yeah, for sure. And will you be selling raffle tickets? Will everybody get one?
everyone gets one you come in. It's like door prizes.
Yeah, but you could.
We
make it a little bit of a
could
fundraiser.
actually raffle them off for the CCATO Scholarship Fund, which we just awarded scholarships like a couple weeks ago, and that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thought too.
Well, I'm just saying you.
Or I can make a basket up.
Okay.
I'll donate before I leave, you'll just pick it up.
That has to be items from Patton
Yeah,
Township?
no
is it?
problem.
And
Okay.
Pam, I don't want to tell you this, but we're having barbecue for dinner.
Oh, no.
You're
I would
lucky.
have read some up on
That was so
she's
mean.
leaving right after the meeting.
So mean.
I can put it in
She's
the little
leaving
to-go
right after
bag.
the meeting.
I know, that
Throwing
was-
her cards.
That was mean.
I'm sorry.
That was cool. Now you know what it's like working.
Oh, brother.
You hear about it. Bowling trophies every day. Just carries it around the office.
I know, he just carries her around.
Okay.
He'll
Just
wear it
for
around his
that.
neck soon.
All right.
Okay, so that was exciting. Thank you very much.
Told you.
And we do have a little denouement, as it were, with committee reports. Anybody want to say anything about their respective committee?
No, I've submitted.
Yeah, I put her report on your.
You're so good about submitting, okay. I'm so bad about it. But I do want to say something about the Lucy Committee, because coming up is going to be an issue regarding the sewer service area and a sort of a crossing of that boundary with the proposal to put sewer lines into the Hess Regional Park, which, as you know, has for centuries has been trying to get bathrooms there. And the issue in a nutshell is if Hess Field were to try to do septic mounds, they would lose one of their ball fields. And I was also told that they probably couldn't do a septic mound because of the geology there. So really the only way for them to safely offer public restrooms is to offer sewer service. The challenge is that the Hess Field is not only not within the sewer service area, outside of it, it's not even contiguous to the sewer service area. So any sewer lines would have to cross through sewer service area land. And there is concern, public concern, perception concern perhaps, that if that happens, the mere act of doing that, the mere presence of the sewer lines will, not so much magically, but maybe organically, expand the growth boundary area, which of course is something that would have to be a regional decision if all, and the environmentalists would be totally against it, and developers would be totally, it's very controversial. Okay, so we have to be very careful how we go about this. What the Lucy Committee is voted on at the recommendation of the Planning Department is that we amend the agreement, and Amy, you might know, I'm sorry, the agreement is, Lucy Committee asked, proposal to the Regional Growth Boundary Sewer Service Area Implementation Agreement.
Yep.
And this amendment would allow, by exception, sewer extensions to the COG-owned properties located outside the sewer service area. And it was decided that that this was the start of the discussion, and further discussion is needed at each municipality. Okay, so the perception of this is very important. As with anything that we need to, it needs to be transparent, and it needs to be data-based. So Center Region Planning Agency is going to put together a one-page talking points on that for us. So pros and cons, potential pitfalls and challenges and so on and so forth. So that is coming, and I wanted to put that on everybody's radar.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty controversial discussion because back in 2011, 12, somewhere around that time frame when Hessfield became a thing and came into the Center Region Regional Parks, there were promises made to the Harris Township Board that were never upheld by previous COG folks related to the restrooms. And the discussion at that time was Hessfield had had a sand mound a long time ago, and it had rudimentary restrooms at that time. They were built in the 1970s or 80s, and the sand mound was failing, and the restrooms, code came in and said, you have to tear this down, it's not safe for people to be in it. They were falling down, so they tore them down. And then they've sort of used the porta potties since then. And then Oak Hall went in, and Oak Hall's a beautiful facility. But I had a friend whose daughter played one day at Hessfield, one day at Oak Hall, and it's like night and day. Oak Hall has wonderful restrooms. It's, of course, in the sewer service area. Like, it has all these great things. So I think the discussion is trying to get these restrooms that were back when they did the funding for the regional parks back in 2011, it was 2011, February, they voted on it, and that night Harris Township voted against every motion because Hessfield wasn't really being adequately considered and the restrooms weren't being considered. So then they had a special meeting to try to cobble something together with the parks. So they cobbled something together and they said, oh, by 2015, you'll have restrooms. We're gonna literally, we're gonna do all the planning, and when we get to phase 2, we're gonna do phase 2 of Oak Hall and White Hall in 2015, and you're gonna have the restrooms. So fast forward all these years, and it's just kind of gone by the wayside. And now things have changed, and the state is kind of changing what they can and cannot do out there. And additionally, Hessfield is right next to the well fields because it's right next to State College Borough Water Authority's property. I will say that back in 2011, when all of this was discussed, there was a Harris Township supervisor who owned property across the street and really wanted to develop. I don't believe he owned, some of that developed on its own. I don't think he owns any of that property anymore. I think a lot of that has changed. So some of the concern about this just being a way to sprawl out development has likely changed. And I will also say that Tussey Mountain back in 1987 maybe had a failure. They had an on-lot septic system. They had a failure. DEP came in and said, okay, you have to run a dedicated sewer line to Tussey Mountain. In today's Act 537 plan, it says Tussey Mountain has this sewer line and a lateral at the corner of the property, and they can never upsize the change the lateral or upsize the line without getting regional approval, because they were worried at that time that it would open up development along Bear Meadows Road. There is some development along Bear Meadows Road, and now the sewer runs out there, I believe, but what they feared didn't happen. So I just throw this out there. I unfortunately have all this history because of being in Harris during the Hessfield years, but the thought process shouldn't be, oh my gosh, this is going to open up sprawl, which is a very valid concern. I understand that concern. The thought process might be, let's look at like what we did with Tussey Mountain when we had to run the line to Tussey Mountain, and there was such concern, and Harris Township back in the 1980s was a vastly different place, and they really didn't want the growth back then. So perhaps it's, how can we run a dedicated line and then put something in the 537 plan, which governs where the sewer goes and what you can and cannot do, to say that that line is really just for Hessfield, which is a regional park facility, and it cannot be upsized or moved or whatever the language was with Tussey unless there's a discussion and approval by the regional governing body. And maybe that alleviates the concern, because that 537 plan is all the teeth. Right? Like, you have developers now, Ryan, I'm sure knows from Ferguson Township, you have developers that come in that they want sewer desperately, and you can't just get it. You can't go and say, I need sewer, Corey Miller at UAJ. You have to go to the general forum, and it's like a 6-month-long process to make your case, and you have to do a report, the development of regional impact. We haven't had one of those in a long time, but you have to do your report that justifies why you need it. So I think there's another way to cut this kind of animal and spread out and figure out how to do this. And I think some of this, and I don't know, I haven't heard from my friends in Harris, so I don't know if this is being pushed by them, but if it is, it's a lot of frustration, and it's a lot of years of built up frustration, because every so many years, the Harris Township Board would send a letter to the COG and say, hey, remember 2011, because you promised us this, and it's in this resolution that you approved. And the response back for a couple of years with much different people, not the people that are there now, would be, oh, yeah, we're not there yet. We'll get there. We're not there yet. And then Whitehall Road got long delayed, and Oak Hall Phase 2 isn't really happening right now, and the discussions have changed. So a lot of things have changed, but I think there's a way to maybe do this that protects. And again, I think the number one question to the Harris Board, because that's the western part of their township, do you really want the growth? And then to the Ferguson Board, because that's a piece of their township as well that runs along 45 there, do you want the growth? And if you don't want the growth, then is there a model we can use from, now Tussey was a failure of a septic system, but is there a model we can use and talk to your attorney that we could write it in so that it's a dedicated line, can only be for this specific property? And, you know, you can go back to, that sand mound failed. I mean, it failed. Walt Schneider has the records. As soon as the COG took that over, there was a report done in 11, 12 timeframe that listed all the things that had to happen immediately before anybody could throw a ball out there again. And all these things were kind of worked on and dealt with, and the restrooms were like the last piece. And Walt was like, no, the restrooms have to come out. They were a really, if anyone was out at Hess Field back then, they were a really old building. They have to come out. There was the failure of the sand mound, and I don't know if that was documented or what happened with those records, because it was owned by a private family, and then there were developers in town. Galen Drabelbus was one of the people that helped build the infrastructure on the community fields for people. So you might be able to go back and say, like, it's not suitable, there was a failure, it's literally right next to State College Borough Water Authority and their well fields. It's in an environmentally sensitive area. There's like a farm next door to it, so you might be able to make the case to do something that, like they did at Tussey all those years ago. And that, I think, would alleviate a lot of the noise that's probably gonna come up about this. And rightfully so, it's not bad noise, it's good noise, right? Those are good conversations about growth that we need to have. So it's just my 2 cents, because like I said, I lived all of that way back then.
Yeah. So we have an expert. I'd totally forgotten about that. I was a little worried myself, being the rep on the Lucy Committee, not getting all of the big picture, you know, so that's great. Yeah, thank you.
Madam Chair, for the record of public safety, to give you guys an update on our general forum, what's going to come up is the replacement of the roof at the Patton Township Fire Station. So that's coming up for a vote, so I'm just letting you guys know.
Replacement of what?
The fire station's roof.
Roof, I didn't hear that word. Okay, gotcha.
So
Okay.
just giving you heads up, that's coming up for the vote at our general forum.
Gotcha. Anything else for the good of the order? Then I think we're on to item 12. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
To adjourn. Okay, I think that's all we need is a motion. And we are adjourned.
Thank you.
We don't even have to vote.